Welcome back to another video from Jerba Campervans. Now, it's freezing outside and it's officially winter, so we thought we'd put together some of our sort of top tips for storing your campervan in the winter, or if you're planning on driving it through the winter, just some driving tips to think about too. So hopefully you enjoy this video. Now, in the winter, if you plan on storing the campervan in your drive or in your garage or anywhere that's cold, doesn't have heating, there are a few things that you can do to just make sure your campervan stays in tip-top shape, and that'll stop you having any sort of headaches come the summer when you want to get the campervan out and get using it again. The most important thing that you should think about when you're storing your campervan for the winter is removing all the water out of the water system. So that includes the tank, the pump, the tap, and all the water sort of cable system, all the water pipe work. And it's really simple to do. The only way that you can drain it is basically by turning the tap on, let the tap run away and clear the system. We found that the most vulnerable part of the system is the tap, so you want to make sure that you've cleared all the water out of this for the winter. Now, a top tip for the tap, what you want to do is you want to turn it on, the water will run clear, it'll splutter a few times, so you want to maybe give it 30 seconds to a minute of spluttering just to get the final water out. What you can then do is you can turn off the electric supply to the tap at your Sergeant control panel and leave the tap in the open position. And what that'll do is it'll just keep the valve open, but it won't engage the pump. And if there's any water sat in the sort of head of the tap, it allows it to drain out because the valve's always open. So it's definitely worth doing for the winter. Now, if you have a Webasto hot water system in your van, this can also be affected by freezing water. And there's two sides to the heat exchanger, and you've got a cold side and a hot side. So what you want to do is you want to do the process on the cold side, lifting the tap up, draining all the water from it, but you also want to do it again because that won't empty the hot side of the heat exchanger itself. So you want to turn your tap to the hot side. You want to run it again, run it dry, and then leave it open in the hot side, turn off the electricity in the hot side, leave the valve open, and just do as we did before. So you want to make sure you're draining both the hot and the cold side of the heat exchanger through the tap. Now, if you have a rear shower unit, it's also worth draining that at the same time too. And it's as simple as just turning it on and letting that run dry as well. Another important part of your campervan that might be affected during the winter is the leisure batteries, and it's highly unlikely that you will have any effects from the cold weather to your leisure batteries, but there are some best practices that we recommend just to make sure they stay in tip-top shape over the cold weather. Over the months and with the cold weather, your sort of amperage, your voltage will drop in your batteries as they lie dormant. So what you can do, maybe once a month, you can just go out and you can just plug them in and you can charge them up to full capacity. Just give them a couple hours, maybe once a month. And also make sure that before you go out for your next big adventure, say come the summertime or come spring, just make sure you top up the batteries to full before you leave too. We recommend if you're going out for a big adventure come sort of springtime, plugging in your van and letting it charge for 12 to 24 hours just to make sure your batteries are topped up properly so you can get away camping without any issue. Now, the third thing that is really important in your campervan if you're storing it away for the winter is the elevating roof and best practices for storing your campervan in regards to the elevating roof. Now, what we always recommend, and it is quite important, is that before you put it away, make sure your canvas is fully dry. Ventile canvases are a type of cotton, so they can hold moisture should you let the water sit on them for, a long period of time. So the best thing to do is make sure you've got a nice dry, breezy day, pop the roof open and just let it sit and air out for a couple of hours, just so you can definitely make sure it's dry. Now, your campervan might not have been out in any rain and it might be dry, and that's fine. You might be comfortable just putting it away. But if you are out regularly and it does see a lot of rain, it's worth just doing that little extra step just to make sure it's aired out and dry before you're putting it away for the winter. Another thing that we like to do here is just to remove the roof bed mattress, and that's just to stop any sort of possibility of it getting damp or holding any water. If your roof bed mattress is being used frequently over the summer and it's holding any moisture, that could turn into damp. So the best thing to do, if you haven't, is just remove it, keep it in the house, keep it in a cupboard, roll it up, or just find somewhere suitable for it that isn't damp. Now, a last little tip I'll give you, and one from experience, is that your roof seal, now that's the seal that runs all the way around the roof that touches the van when you pull it down, when you pull the roof down. What you can actually do is you can use something like talcum powder to actually just go along and rub underneath that roof seal. What can happen over the winter is when the two surfaces, the rubber and the paint, touch, they might be damp, or there might be some sort of residue or something on there, and it basically causes that roof seal to stick, so you get a when you're pulling it off the roof. Now, if you rub a little bit of talc on that seal, it stops it sticking, so when you come out next year to get your camper van ready for your next adventure, it just means that your roof is just going to pop up as it should, and you're not going to run the risk of having that seal get stuck to the roof and you having to pop it back on again. So, top tip. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video on our top tips for storing your camper van over the winter. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you like this video and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.